Happy Friday afternoon. I'm Jim with the Brewers Association of Maryland. I want to thank you for tuning in and joining us today. I'm going to be joined by Zach and Matt from 1623 Brewing Company at Eldersburg. This is a really unique opportunity for us to talk to the operators of this great brewery. Zach is actually in Denver, Colorado. It's where he resides. He's got a really great backstory, but he also operates the brewery at 1623 and has come up with a lot of the recipes there that Matt is making into beautiful, great beer. So I'm looking forward to this talk. It's going to be really fun. They're coming off of a really, really high for their career. Got a medal a couple of weeks ago at the Great American Beer Festival for a wonderful beer that they put out. I'm looking forward to talking about that. Before we jump into the chat, I want to remind everybody that Maryland's breweries are open for business. Go and visit your brewery this weekend that you love to support. Go buy their beer at your local retailer. Do whatever you can to help support these great businesses. They're employing your neighbors. They're tied to our state's agriculture, and they're making our state look good, frankly. They make great beer, and they're making everybody have a great time. So we want to show our appreciation for them. I also want to let everybody know we've only got 6 days left to order your collab project beers in 4-packs or in cases. So go to beerme.com/store/BAM and order your collab project packs there. 1623 actually helped collaborate on the What Maryland Stouts stout collaboration with True Respite and like 14 other breweries. So do your best to show your support for BAM, what we do, and show your support for the breweries that helped us by putting these collaborations out. We got a lot of really talented brewers together. They came up with some really amazing recipes. The artwork for these cans is awesome. So please show your support to the Brewers Association. So show your support to everybody involved in this project. And that's about it. One more thing. We have a ton of stuff that we're going to be putting out for you guys that's going to accompany this can release. We've got some really great videos coming from our friends at Brew Mashers, Bash Brothers. We've got some stuff that BAM's put together, and we worked with the Uncapped podcast to put some things together. A lot of it's really funny. A lot of it's very, very kind of behind the curtain about what's going on with Maryland brewers and the folks behind the beer that you love to drink. And we think it's going to be very entertaining for you. It will go live on Friday the 20th on our YouTube channel. We'll have links to it, but we want to see you guys there. We want to see you have fun, and no way to do that better than have a collab project beer to sip while you're watching. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Zach. And I hope that didn't just hiccup the internet too much, so he'll pop in as soon as that works. If you've got questions today for Zach, myself, or for Matt from 1623, drop them in the comments. And there's Zach right there. How you doing, brother?
Good, man. Dropped off again. Sorry about
that. So just to give everybody a heads up, like I said, we're over 1,000 miles apart today, and the internet apparently has magic pixies that carry the signal from one end to the other, so we might have a few hiccups.
Yeah. I'm in Woods Boss Brewing, 29th in California, downtown Denver right now.
So do me a favor. Tell me why you are there and not in Maryland, and let's get started with this story because it's a great one.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, it's the name of our brewery. So it's 1,623 miles between Denver and Baltimore. So when my cousin first approached me to do this in Maryland, I was pretty much like, I'm a brewer in Colorado. I don't know why I'd want to start a brewery in Maryland, but just through some talking with him and realizing what a good opportunity it was going to be in Maryland, we went and.
While we're waiting for Zach's connection to catch up, we've got a question from YouTube. Is it possible for fans from neighboring states to order the collab beers? We would love to be able to get those collab beers out to everybody in neighboring states. Right now, Maryland breweries are shipping to Maryland residences only, and we are shipping some of this beer. You can set up for pickup for these beers if you'd like to, so please feel free to find the closest brewery to you and order that beer for pickup, but we can't ship it across state lines right now. And Zach's Max will let him pick up on the story 1623.
And magic pixies, right? So
you must have done something to make him angry.
I must have. I apologize for the spotty connection.
No, you're good.
I don't remember. Well, I don't know where it cut off.
You were kind of trying to figure out why, when you've had your professional background in Colorado and you're located there, why coming to Maryland would make sense.
Honestly, the laws hadn't changed yet, and they were getting ready to. And when we jumped in, they hadn't changed yet, but they were working that way. And so once they changed, we were able to jump in the show and really get things going. We opened our tap room February 22nd of this year, but we've been in the Maryland market since September of 2018. So we're just happy to be there, honestly.
I actually met Zach about 2 weeks before their beer started hitting shelves in Maryland. I was in Colorado for the Great American Beer Festival, and came running up to the Brewers Association of Maryland table and was very happy to let us know that he was going to be involved with our association, and was looking forward to being an active member of what's going on in the state. And I came back on a real high, knowing that there are people out there that really appreciate what the associations do in terms of advocacy and promotion for the industry, but also that there were people in the industry who really wanted to carry a torch for us. So I want to thank you for that, and let you know that that's not forgotten.
Absolutely. Well, I find myself as part of the legislative committee for BAM now, and I am a very active member, and yes, it is very, very important that BAM exists. They're an advocate in every way possible for us, whether that's legislative, whether that's consumer. BAM is a very, very important organization. It's a 1623, and we're glad to be members.
Well, and I don't say any of that to toot the horn of the work that we do, but we're honored to do it on behalf of all of you guys, and it was a great way to meet you the first time and not have to wait.
No, I left that and I was like, okay, cool. Now I got a name, I got a phone number. Now we're gonna get this thing working. But we eventually got it together, so that was fun.
So you just mentioned that you guys have been in the market here in Maryland for about 2 years. You started out with some contract opportunities in the state, working with some other breweries. And we don't have to get into big details there, but I'm really curious about how that kind of set the pace for you. Did it make the most amount of sense to have your brand in the market a little bit and then open the tasting room so that people would have kind of a eye to your destination?
Yeah, so the idea behind contract brewing was to really get into the market, establish a brand, let people know who we are, what we're about, and then once we hit once we hit our production facility and our tap room, like really be able to roll that extremely well because people already know who we were. That's basically the idea behind it. I don't know that we had the greatest reputation during contract brewing, but I feel like, I know Matt has done a absolutely fantastic job brewing our beer in our facility, and we were lucky enough to take a GABF medal home this year, and he's just killing it. I can't. I get all like happy and giddy because there's really, Matt's just, I don't know, he's just killing it for us. So
I know we're waiting on Matt to join us if he can. He's got some stuff going on today, some things that you guys are working on with some other breweries in the state, some really cool options there, and some things we're looking for in the future. So I don't want to pull up the veil, but I think that what he's working on is going to be a good time.
Oh, it's going to be really good. I'll wait for him to join to let that thing go. But well, actually, you know what? Considering where I am at Woods Boss here in Denver, I think it's a perfect thing to.
And we're waiting for those magic pixies to catch up with Zach again. You can tell they're working hard in the background. I am just trying to make sure that there's nothing I can do to help Zach along here. If you have any questions for us today, please throw them into the chat. We're going to have a few of these sporadic little pop-ups, maybe 20, 30 seconds where Zach is waiting on the internet to connect, but we'll get it all reconnected. Again, Zach is tuning in with us from Denver. We're waiting on Matt from 1623 to join us. And you're at Woods Boss. What in the hell does Woods Boss have to do with what Matt was doing today?
Yeah, all right. So we did a collab. We did a home and away collab with True Respite. So when True Respite was here for the not the one that just happened virtually, but the one before that, GABF, True Respite was here, and we did a collab here at Woods Boss with 1623, Woods Boss, and True Respite. And then we did one at True Respite.
The information that Zach has to share with everybody is so special that the internet does not want it to come across, apparently. I apologize for the hiccups here. I think we're just going to kind of wait it out so we can get Zach back on. He may decide that this is not worth it today, and we may try some other time, but I'm hoping that we can get through this and keep you all entertained. I apologize for the spotty connection. I promised Zach that I would start singing or humming lyrics to songs, but I'm not prepared to do that yet. My singing voice isn't ready.
I'm trying to go to somewhere that has more internet. I apologize to everyone.
No, I just made sure that everybody knew that whatever information you had was so special that the internet doesn't want to let it down.
That is very true. It's very true.
So before you left, you were saying that True Respite hosted kind of a second side project in 2019.
Yeah, and so, oh no. Okay, I'm so sorry, everybody. So so 2019 we did Colory Lands, and we weren't able to release it, but now True Respite has remade it, and we're going to be able to release that again, and it's coming here very, very soon. We just tasted it today. Matt tasted it today, and that's why he's running late, because he was down at True Respite and trying to boogie on back to 1623 to hop on. So.
And anybody who knows the trip from Rockville to Eldersburg can always be met with some sort of consternation in terms of traffic and bedlam. It looks like we're going to have a couple of issues. I know that they've got a busy tap room there at Woods Boss, and I think people are using up their bandwidth a little bit. I guess when you're in Colorado and you can work from tasting rooms instead of having to work from home, that's kind of a cool thing. It's all good. I'm get frustrated. I'm riffing. I'm having a great time.
Yeah, so where did it cut off this time?
You were just saying that you were excited about this thing coming up, and that Matt was on his way back to the tasting room. And I just said that the trip from Rockville to Eldersburg can be a bit cantankerous at sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. So, but he should be momentarily. So, but yeah, so we're really excited about this collab. True Respite is going to be announcing details on the release here within days. So, keep an eye out for that. Yeah, we're really excited to be collaborating really twice with such a great brewery in True Respite, and getting everybody involved here in Colorado as well. Colory Land should be a very, very good beer, and we can't wait for it to be released.
I can't wait to learn more about that release and kind of everything that's behind this story, because it sounds like a good one and a good opportunity to share each other's information.
Absolutely.
So I had Brendan on last week to talk about all the collaborations, and he talked about how with both What Maryland Does and What Maryland Stouts, he's done collaboration kind of virtually with folks. I mean, it's like the option there is right now with COVID, unless you're at your establishment. And one of the things that came out of that was that he has kind of shown that there's this trend that he's got going where his collaborations can happen remotely. And it kind of fascinated me, but now I'm thinking about what you're doing, and a lot of your work is collaborative to the brewery at 1623, all remotely. Do you find that that's a challenge, or are there some real benefits to that?
No, I think there's just some real benefits to that, because Matt's able to have his artistic process, his creative freedom, and even his physical process to himself. And if I don't step in and interfere, then I'm finding that he's really like not only stepping up to the plate, but he's crushing it out of the park. So it really actually ends up working good. I let him do his thing, and I just help out where he needs it. I think I'm able to be a better boss that way.
That's pretty cool. The idea of not having to, I get the tendency to want to take over if I see things kind of going astray. So I can definitely understand that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
Question coming in from YouTube. With your 1623 releases, I'm assuming that's what they're asking about. Are you sourcing ingredients from both Colorado and Maryland, or do you just try to stick to local Maryland ingredients?
A lot of times we stick to local Maryland ingredients, and part of the reason for that is it's very expensive to get local ingredients from Colorado to Maryland. We tried a couple of times here in Colorado in a place called Loveland. There is they just got a gold medal for the second year in a row for best Pilsner malt in the world. So I would love to be able to use that malt simply because it's the best in the world, and I've used it before, and it's amazing. But in order for me to get a pallet from here to there, it's incredibly expensive, and just can't really do it. So yeah, it's Maryland for the most part.
So Matt is now going to be added to the stream. I'm going to throw him right on blast and ask if he wants to tell us what it's like to work for Zach. Matt, how you doing, man?
How you doing?
Nice to meet you virtually. Thanks
nice
for
to meet you virtually too.
We were just chatting a little bit about sourcing of ingredients and kind of what it's like to have this this almost virtual collaboration between the two minds behind the 1623 portfolio and what's going on there in the brewery. And Zach gave some really great perspective from his side of it. And I'm wondering what you think about that. Like, is that a unique thing for you, or is that something that you have experience with?
It is definitely a unique thing. It's more so like, especially trying to communicate back and forth, it does get like, some things do get lost in the transition, but I feel we do a great job of keeping in touch with each other and actually bouncing ideas off of each other at the same time. And we have a really good thing going here.
So what is your history together? Have you guys worked together in the past? Have you crossed paths before Matt came?
Yeah, actually, I knew Zach from my homebrewing days. He used to sell me my ingredients and everything.
I sold him his homebrew stuff. Yeah.
Oh, so you knew from the beginning, man. You had
and then I saw he was opening up a brewery in Maryland. I was like, hey, it's my time now. So, Zach, you hiring?
Yeah, but where did you work at the time that I hired you? It's like
I was working for Rogue out in Oregon.
Okay. So
I didn't hire you from home brewing.
No, you did not.
So you've truly gone from coast to coast and everywhere in the middle, huh?
Absolutely.
Very cool. Well,
I grew up a military kid, so I'm used to doing traveling.
So what do you think of the Maryland beer scene? You've been here, what, about a year?
Yep, just over a year now. And I'm actually a big fan of it. I'm loving everything that's doing. I just got back from True Respite, and we were trying some beers, and I couldn't be happier with the beer scene out here in Maryland.
That's awesome. Well, you guys, I already kind of
we just
you guys are doing a great job, and we're proud to have you as part of our industry. You guys are doing great things, and make Maryland.
I'm glad to be here.
So let's talk a little bit about what you guys have going on right now. Actually, let's talk first about this GABF medal for Everything But the Seeds.
All right.
For a young brewery, that's a great feather in the cap. It's a really
it wasn't even on like remotely visible for this year. I was like, we'll enter, but I don't think we'll get anywhere close to medaling this year.
So can you tell us about the beer and what the future for that beer looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a watermelon cream ale. So we use a base with heavy corn additions to get that body and mouthfeel out of it. And then we overload it with some watermelon puree towards the end of fermentation. And we retain a little bit of that watermelon sweetness, but we have a lot of it ferment out just so it's not overly bearingly sweet or anything like that. And then we use a Kolsch yeast to ferment it out. That way we're not looking at a 2 to 3 month take time for that beer. we are bringing it back next year as part of our seasonal release. So it will be definitely readily available within the coming years.
Zach, don't get frustrated, man. You're still there. We got this.
I'm sorry.
That sounds extremely refreshing. It definitely sounds like a good late spring.
Absolutely, it's a perfect summertime crusher.
So, I mean, I've contributed a beer lineup to GABF before for a competition. I kind of know what that stress is like, figuring out which beers you want to send. Like, how did that one end up in your short list?
Honestly, when we first brewed it, it was such a good beer, and we don't have we're going through the list of what we wanted to add to GABF and everything. We all sat down as a team with our packaging crew, cellar crew, and Zach on FaceTime, and we were going down the list of what we had ready to go, what we could get in tank and would be ready by the time we had to send out to GABF. And watermelon was always kind of the go-to. All right, well, we're definitely sending this beer, regardless of whatever else we're sending and everything.
If I can chime in, it was all of their go-tos, but I was against it because we're entering watermelon, which is delicate, and a cream ale, which is also delicate. Usually GABF has to be these bold flavors, and honestly, if we would have had the normal 5 entries, we may not have entered it. And honestly, Matt was a big person. No, watermelon's going. It's always going to be going. And I was shocked when we got it, and Matt deserves all the credit for that, because to execute a beer like that and get a medal out of it, it's just fantastic.
Well, that was going to be my next question, was the impact that you were able to get with the fruit, because I've had some beers made with watermelon that definitely fall short of what the expectation might be to really get the flavor of watermelon without it coming across as super artificial or not present, really. And just recently we were in Montgomery County doing a tour of a couple of breweries and distilleries, and they all had the same complaint about watermelon. How do you get this flavor to really show up truly?
Watermelon's it's a finicky fruit to add, because a lot of it, in the sense, is water as well. So, how do you not overload it with the amount of fruit to where it does taste like cough syrupy, or to where you underdose it and it's just you hardly get anything out of it? So we found a really good medium of how much to add, in a sense, per batch. And I think we might mess around with maybe trying different dosing rates in the future, just to actually not dial in that watermelon flavor.
I'm wondering if the judges' palate preference is starting to change a little bit. Everybody in the fruit category the last few years has probably been entering
I think
high
so.
lactose, high fruit, high this, high that. And you guys are coming in with something that's presenting the fruit in a really palatable way, and in a way that makes people really probably appreciate the expression more than just making it out the head and shoulders with it.
And that's what we were going for with the beer to start. Is we wanted a everyday go-to, something you could drink all day, every day, and not get tired of it. And that's been when we had that on tap, that was my go-to every time I was in the tap room drinking. I was drinking watermelon every time.
That is not something that I would expect to hear from a brewer. That's really cool. Most of you guys are like, oh, I want, our best Pilsner or something like that. But it's really cool that you're gravitating.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I still gravitate towards all our, we actually have 4 lagers in tank right now. We're coming out with, so we did Baltimore Chop, was one of our first beers we did. And we have a lot of smash lagers coming out with a bunch of new hops. The next one that's coming out, we'll actually release next week, is our Talisman. It's a smash lager with all Talus hops.
That sounds awesome.
I'm really excited for this. When you get a little bit of the dried roses, really floral effect from it, but zero bitterness, which is a really go-to killer beer right now.
So, kind of on a more personal note to you and your experience in the industry, like how are you enjoying working at a brewery of this scale as compared to maybe what your previous experience has been?
I'm loving it. I mean, I've had a insane amount of creativity freedom when it comes to the beers that Zach and I release. And I mean, it's better than being a shift brewer all day, every day.
Knowing what you're going to make when you walk in every single day. Gotcha. We normally talk about kind of what's in the lineup and what's in the portfolio. What we've had an opportunity to talk to you guys about is how these things kind of get developed at a distance, because this is a very unique setup here in the state. You guys are the only brewery that has kind of a remote aspect to how design and thought process goes. But in terms of what the philosophy is behind the lineup at 1623, and it'd probably be great to get Zach's opinion on this too, but it looks like he's having a connectivity issue. What is guiding kind of where, like, what parameters have you guys set forth to say this is kind of what we want to do and what we want the brand to look like?
It's a tough question. Like, we've always shot for creativity and experimentation. And that's one thing Zach and I have agreed on from the beginning, is that it's always going to be experimenting, whether it be like, if we, like our core IPA, like it's a solid, always go-to flavor profile is always going to be the same, but like we can mess around with water profiles and also like change up hops tiny bit. So that way we can either increase our yields or increase a certain flavor aspect that we're looking from it. And the size we're at allows us to have that freedom to make those slight changes and have no big difference out in the market. And I think that's a great thing, because then we can actually dial in what our recipes are actually going to be, what our flavor profiles are actually going to be.
So you definitely notice that there's some value to having the scale that you have when it comes to maturing what the brand looks like and what
exactly
look like. That's awesome. And, you know, we talk a lot on these Friday chats about this like pursuit of excellence and perfection. And every brewer that I've talked to is like, we're constantly making changes. We hope nobody notices it, but it's always slightly trying to get there.
Exactly. Water chemistry is the biggest thing. That's the one thing I'm always screwing around with.
Just figuring out how it's going to feel and how it's going to take flavor.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Getting that mouthfeel right, getting Pilsners, making sure they're extremely crisp and clean, all that stuff.
So from the consumer perspective, when I look at 1623, I see what looks like you guys have a core set of beers that are out in the trade, and you guys are releasing some really unique stuff at the tap room. There's not a whole lot of blurred line. Like at least I don't notice it, that there's a lot of like one-off releases out into the trade or something like that. Are you guys keeping most of that in the tasting room intentionally?
Yeah, so most of it stays in tap room itself. It'll start in tap room, and then if we decide we really want to send it to market, then we'll go ahead and put it out to market. And we have a lot of really fun and interesting things coming out right now. One thing that's coming out, we are packaging on Monday, is our cranberry and cherry kettle sour.
Wow.
Turned out phenomenal. We used over 1,100 pounds of cranberries and close to 500 pounds of cherries in that single batch. It is on tap now in our tap room, and then we're canning it up on Monday.
Sounds like the perfect beer for people to be scooping up for the holidays.
Yep, exactly. That's what we were going for. Like, we always shoot for the season too. Like, what's good with Thanksgiving? What's going to be good with Christmas and all that stuff? Like, we look to please the market, but not go absolutely crazy with it. We want to bring as many beer drinkers into our facility and also in liquor stores and stuff. We want to be able to please the masses, but also staying creative and different than as much as we can be.
Well, you have to stay unique to what other people are offering and competitive when you're in front of
people. And
it's
hard to be that kind of creative when with so many breweries out right now, like everybody's doing everything right now.
Well, it's a wild world right now. I mean, the beer industry was going to get wild no matter what, and then we had this whole craziness of COVID come through, and I think it's just really changed things up quite a bit.
Absolutely.
So when you have these one-off wild releases like this, are you like shipping a crowler overnight to Zach to make sure he gets a sense of what's going on before it gets released?
We're trying to get him some stuff, so we'll package we will get some cans out and everything, and make sure he's able to at least try it. I know it's hard for him to get out here with COVID and everything.
Yeah, that's got to be the only big challenge I could see with this. Other than that, I mean, I think every industry in the world, aside from maybe the healthcare industry and law enforcement, have proven that you can do everything remotely. Why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the beers that are in your portfolio that stand out to you and that you think your guests are really responding to?
One thing that's really hit the market running is we just came out with our Dog Days Red Hazy with all Simcoe hops.
Nice looking can.
Yeah, so that's actually my dog, and his name is Simcoe. He's a wire-haired terrier. So we wanted to do a beer specifically just for fun. I mean, there was no like rhyme or reason behind actually doing this beer, except I wanted to do a red hazy because he's a red dog, and then overloading it with all Simcoe hops. So this one has like been well perceived out in the market right now. A lot of people are really liking it. And Simcoe hops are like a finicky hop at the same time too.
Yeah, I know that they're one of those hops that if people catch the aromatics the wrong way, it can be a turnoff. That cattiness to it, or the potential for that.
So we switched up our grain malt for a Best Red X, and then also added in a bit of dark Munich at the same time as well, just to get that reddish hue. But yeah, exactly. I'm really happy to get that
Dog Days.
Yeah.
Dog Days.
That's a great looking beer. The color of that is fascinating.
Did you tell him it's named after your dog?
Oh yeah, we went through that.
Good.
I love the artwork.
You get that nice pininess out of it right on the front end, and then it just finishes like really fruity, but then also still get that pininess on the back end as well. I think this beer played out really well for us.
I like the description there. It almost sounds as if it's bridging that gap between the traditional West Coast appreciation for what the hop can lend to a beer and what the consumer expects in what an IPA is nowadays. At least with the huge push for the hazy and New England styles and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have another beer that we did release to our tap room as well. It's a new West Coast IPA using Belma and Sabra. So you get a little bit of that woodiness, coconut out of it, but then it is just an absolute berry bomb towards the end. And I'm really happy with the way that beer came out.
That's awesome. What are you seeing in Eldersburg? What are people asking for? Are they following the trends that you're seeing kind of now?
Seltzers and sours.
Fruited sours. And
seltzers and sours. That's the trend.
Are you?
We'll always have a seltzer and sour on tap. The next seltzer we have going in tank right now is actually an Arnold Palmer seltzer.
Oh, very cool.
I'm actually pretty excited about that. It was at Pratt Standard this morning, which is a cocktail syrup company based out of DC. And we're going to be working with them to do our seltzers going forward, whether it be an old fashioned, Moscow Mule, whiskey sour, or anything of the sort.
So kind of coming up with a way to bridge the desire for cocktails in the market to what you're doing with your seltzers. That's a really great idea. I've had Idiom had a Moscow Mule seltzer that actually turned out very, very well. I'm not a huge fan of seltzer personally, but it's great to see local makers are doing a great job with it. And when you can come up with flavors like that are going to be the concern is that the share in beer is going to people who are drinking cocktails or spirits now. And if we're losing that share to those drinkers, if we can bring them back to the beer side and put that revenue in a brewery, that's pretty cool. I have some experience working with Tori Pratt. We represent the Maryland Distillers Guild also. And
okay, awesome.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, that's actually who I've been in touch with.
Yeah, she's wonderful. Great connection. And I think you guys will have some great opportunities to collaborate there.
I'm looking forward to it.
What else you guys got going on in the brewery that people should know about? What other beers are there that you like to share with people?
One beer I'm really excited about is so we started working with the Jonathan Ogden Foundation and doing quarterly releases of specific styles. So first beer we're actually going to be doing is a peanut butter and honey milk stout called Peanut Butter Honey Time. And this one I am extremely proud of. You still get that honey essence from it, and then it tastes like almost a damn near peanut butter cup going down.
I am a very fond consumer of peanut butter cups, so you might be speaking my language. So are you using local honey in this?
Yes. Yeah, there's a honey company that's down 26 a little ways that we got honey from. We're trying to keep everything as local as possible.
Is that Apex?
No, not Apex. I'll have to look up the name. I can't remember the top of my head.
You guys are in the right spot in terms of kind of location between Frederick, Montgomery, Howard, and Carroll counties to get really good activity from bees and local honey. So that's awesome that you're able to use that.
We just for our pumpkin beer that we just did, Smoking Jacks, we worked with Local Homestead Products, which is about 15, 20 minutes down the road, and gave us just an abundance of different types of pumpkins that we were able to use, smoke up, and then throw into the mash tun.
That's awesome. We had a question a little bit earlier, right before you got on, about sourcing local ingredients and whether there was the opportunity to kind of play around with ingredients from both states. And Zach was pointing out, the ability to use Maryland ingredients obviously is a lot easier. It makes a lot more sense.
Absolutely, but we're always looking to source out some stuff that, whether it be Colorado specific or maybe even somewhere else, just in the local vicinity, if we can get ingredients up from PA or down in Virginia or something. We're always looking for new and interesting ingredients.
Just to go back, because it popped into my head, the seltzers that you're talking about, you said that you'd always have them available in the tap room. Do you see that you guys will be putting those into package and releasing them to the trade anytime soon?
That's a tough subject, but more than likely not.
Zach looks very...
The answer to that is no.
Is that a personal preference, Zach?
It is. Yeah, it's... There's one person in our company that's really enamored with seltzers. So I think the rest of us are pretty much, for a beer company, we're going to be a beer company. But never say never, But for I would say pretty much probably 90% we're not going to market with those. That'll be tap room only.
Well, the beautiful thing about having them in the tap room is it does give your visiting guest an opportunity to kind of bring somebody along with them who may not love beer or hasn't found the beer for them yet, and gives them
or not even able to drink beer, whether it be gluten intolerance or something. There is the option,
and that's pretty much the point of us having seltzers in its entirety, is just to make sure that everybody has something to drink and they can feel welcome in our tap room.
That's awesome. I think it would be I'm not marketing any beers or seltzers, but I think it would be difficult at this point to try to get into liquor stores with a seltzer and see it kind of carve its way through what that retail environment might look like nowadays, just because it's already a crowded marketplace and there's a lot of beer to choose from. And
not a whole lot of shelf space left.
No, and it seems like everybody's kind of playing whack-a-mole with trying to take whatever label they can put out there and get it on the shelf. So I think that would be a very big challenge, and it seems like you guys have made a good decision. If people love it in your tasting room, leave it there.
Yep. You can take crowlers to go.
Oh, well, there you go. That's fair. If you need to drink it at home, you can take it home with you.
Exactly. You just got to come to the brewery and get it.
So the tap room is going on about 9 months of longevity so far. You opened kind of right at the beginning of this whole craziness.
3 weeks before.
What are we learning? What are we willing to share about this time and kind of how it's been?
It's been hectic, to say the least, and in an unpredictable market. It's hard to plan. It's hard to predict packaging wise, especially for our size. It's like it makes it difficult to guess on how much of which do we need. What do we need to do for kegs? What do we need to do for cans? For a while there, it was 0 kegs. We didn't do any kegs for the sole purpose. There was no bars or restaurants open. But now we are in a transition of draft is starting to pick up a lot more. So planning for draft and can wise, it's definitely picked up a lot.
That's encouraging. It's good to hear that the accounts that you have that are out there that are serving draft are thirsty to buy more. You know, they're
Absolutely.
they want to bring it in, and the commitment that these accounts have had to ensuring a good rotation of craft beer has not been lost in all of this. It speaks good things for the industry and proves that there's a barrier of quality that people are not missing, which is great.
Absolutely.
Are you seeing any trends aside from seltzer through this whole thing? Like what people are dying for? Are they dying for a specific style? Curbside
Our
pickup?
IPAs have been absolutely killing it. Like we haven't been able to keep it in the tap room or on the shelf out in the market. That is our biggest thing. The one thing we've always gone for with our hazies is a single hop but super complex. So like the last one we did was all Simcoe. The next one we're doing is all El Dorado hazy.
Oh wow!
Which I'm really excited for that one. And I think just being able to pull out the complexities of a single hop but super complex grain bill has really done us well.
Well, if you're brewing a delicious beer and adding, kind of this exploration of what the hop is all about, it gives people this opportunity to really kind of dial in what it is they may or may not like about specific beers and get that experience.
Exactly.
There's people that say, hey, I don't like IPAs. It's like, well, do you just not like the hop combination that you had? Are you not a fan of like the way the alcohol presented on the palate? Like, what is it about that beer or your experience that you didn't like? And I love this kind of educational opportunity you get when you can showcase a limited amount of ingredients or a limited amount of one ingredient.
And that was our biggest thing behind our smash lagers at the same time too, is highlighting specific flavor profiles in order for people to actually understand about what's going on in the beer. Like hops added at certain times, malts mashed in at certain temperatures. Like you can actually pick out those flavor profiles without it being overbearing. And you got 4 different hops in a beer, multiple different malts. So it really helps that you're actually able to pull complexity out of simplicity.
I really like the way you phrase that, and I think it kind of takes away from this maybe a concept that has been gaining popularity through online message boards and apps that are out there, that you have to have some sort of background or education in beer in order to truly appreciate it anymore. And the reality is you should be able, I didn't hear that. You should be able to appreciate it without having to, without having to feel like an asshole. To be totally honest, like it's a beer. You should feel good about sharing a beer with somebody, and you don't have to feel pompous about it or anything like that. And, if you have a beer with a giant grist bill and, 14 different hops added at 5 different places, like you sound kind of like a jerk trying to tell people, oh, I taste this, I taste that. It's like, let's go simple, let's talk about it. And then we can really share this experience and learn together.
Exactly.
Bless you, Matt.
We were having that conversation earlier. But it's the reality. I was actually listening to a podcast the other day, and they were advertising for Miller High Life, and one of the things that came up was like this lack of kind of the pompous. You don't have to be pompous to drink this beer, and I'm like, well, you don't have to be pompous to drink any beer. Some people just and it's not a good approach to make people feel like less than when this thing is all about inclusion, right? Like beer is about inclusivity and the ability to sit down with somebody and just get to know what's going on.
Beer is community. I mean, it brings people together in all walks of life. So that's all you can really hope for when you're trying to please not everybody, but as many people as you can.
That's the truth. That's what it's all about.
Well,
Go ahead,
with us, we're all about family and community. So when you're in our place, like to steal Olive Garden's crappy tagline, when you're at 1623, you're family. So if we can ever do anything for you guys, if there's ever anything that's just not quite right, let us know. We'd be more than happy to fix it. So community is everything to us.
Yeah, and we're always open with what goes in our beer. We'll share recipes regardless of what it is. Zach just shared our silver medal winning.
I did. Y'all gonna have to find that on Maryland Beer Drinkers Club. It's buried in there, but it's there.
So somewhere in the comments, you just decided it was a great idea to share that recipe
before we won the medal. Yeah.
Oh, Zach.
That's one thing. Like, we'll never hold back anything. Like, if somebody walks into the tap room and is asking what goes in this beer, what's in that beer, like, we won't hold anything back. We'll be absolutely upright, totally honest with everybody that asks.
I think that's really cool. And I was talking to a brewery last week that kind of had the same feeling. Like, if people want to know what's going on and they want to better what they're doing and their quality and their establishment, we're happy to share a recipe. They're not going to make our beer. It's our beer. They aren't going to
exactly. Like, you can brew the same recipe 10 times over, and maybe 2 times out of 10 you'll get it right.
Right,
exactly the same.
And there's that touch. I mean, there's a lot of talent and creativity brought to the brew day. You're bringing something to that brew that somebody can't replicate, and there's like that feel and finesse that goes into everything that you get good at, professional at.
The one thing I've always said since I started home brewing was brewing is the perfect medium between science and art, meet in the middle. Like, you get everything and absolutely everything that you're looking for.
I think that's a good way to start winding this conversation down, is tying it back to the creativity. How you doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's essential to everything that we do. It's all about creativity. Matt and I talk about every beer that we're going to do as if we are about to paint the Mona Lisa. Every detail, every color that we're going to possibly think about putting into that painting is there. And Matt does a great job with hops. I think my strength is more grain, and so I kind of paint with the grain. Matt paints with the hops, and we come up with a winning combination a lot of the time.
So when you guys look back on your experience in the industry and kind of where you've been at other breweries and see how they're doing things, and then you look at how you guys are putting things together at 1623 and forging ahead as this brand starts to establish itself and mature, how do you see things are going? You guys think you're on the right path? Think you're doing things the right way?
I like to think so.
Yeah,
I would hope so.
I do.
I think it's really hard to tell in these times.
I'm not questioning whether or not you guys are doing the right stuff. It's nice to see with, like, kind of, you can always look in the rearview mirror, and hindsight's 2020. If you're able to apply the things that you've learned and you're putting yourself on the right path, that's great stuff.
Yeah, I think we really had like 1, maybe 2 beers that we really regret doing. And I don't know if regret is the right word. It's like more like lessons learned. But I think that just one that I don't want to mention that we did that didn't work out so great. But I think the rest of them have come out pretty darn well.
You always need that one flop to leverage you with a little bit of humility, right?
And in all due fairness to Matt, it wasn't when he was our brewer.
Fair. All right, Matt, you haven't flopped yet, man. Keep up the great work. I do want to ask, because Zach and I had a few minutes to catch up before we got online in between interruptions from the crazy pixies.
When my internet was working. Yeah,
it's working beautifully now. I love it. I was wondering if you could kind of share a little bit with most of the people watching this have a very good idea of what the Maryland beer scene looks like and what things are like here. You have a very unique perspective looking at kind of like, one of the oases of craft beer in the United States. I like to think that Frederick County and Carroll County are setting a pace for what East Coast beer life could be. Can you tell us what's going on out in Denver and what's happening out there?
Sure. Well, I mean, within, let's see, I don't know, Matt, how many blocks? Like probably 10 blocks here where I'm at Woods Boss. There are 40 breweries here. It's really a lot of competition, a lot of like really good beer. Because if you don't make good beer in Colorado, especially downtown Denver, Boulder, or Fort Collins, you really don't exist, and you won't exist for very long. So that's really what we're trying to establish with 1623 is just like, hey, we're going to make good beer. We're going to promise that everything that you're going to enjoy out of the tap is going to be good. And if it's not, talk to us. We'll take care of it. We'll get you another good beer or seltzer or whatever you enjoy. We'll get that taken care of. And that's really what we're trying to bring from Colorado. It's just a sense of laid backness, a sense of the beer community here. Matt was a part of the beer community here for a lot of years, and he understands what the beer community here is all about.
And the biggest thing is variety. Having variety for people to enjoy, I think that's really what draws people, is that they're not just going to come in and have 6-7 hazies on tap, a bunch of stouts. It's covering all aspects of styles. Like right now we have maybe 2 or 3 IPAs, sour, a brown ale. We also have like all our cores, Pilsner, Hefeweizen, stout, and IPA on tap. And we really try to cover all our bases and make sure everybody who walks through those front doors will be happy with whatever they decide to drink.
That's awesome. The idea of breadth and depth of capability is what draws people in, I think, a lot more than just knowing that you specialize in one specific style.
Exactly. And that's what, like, we try to nail every style every time that we possibly can.
And how about in terms of kind of COVID response and what the guest experience is like in Denver right now compared to what's going on in Maryland? Is there a lot of difference?
Well, in Denver specifically, we're down to 25% capacity. But I mean, our cases are over 3,000 right now, so it's not good here. We may go through, additional shutdowns. And my kid just went on remote learning today.
So we had a lot of things happen this year. We had the ability to deliver directly to consumers, extended by the comptroller and the governor. We had the ability for tap rooms to have their limits raised to ensure that people could come and take beer away without maxing out the tasting room limits at Class 5 breweries. We've got the shipping option. Lots of crazy things going on with like cocktails to go from restaurants and stuff. Are you guys seeing that out there also?
Yeah, we are, but and Matt will attest to this, but 80% of that was already true in Colorado. We just got the ability to take alcohol to go from normal restaurants, and because otherwise that would have been just normal Colorado law.
Got it. It's nice to see that this is kind of giving people like a level, and we're starting to see all of these things balance out across the country. We engage with the Brewers Association on a regular basis to see kind of what all the other guilds in the country are hearing and seeing and what's happening there. And it seems like everybody's trying to get to the same place where breweries can operate in kind of any capacity to ensure that they are generating revenue. They're doing it safely. They're doing it appropriately with what's in line with the state law. And we couldn't be more fortunate because breweries like you guys are doing a great job of holding tight to and true to what we're supposed to be doing, and you're doing it the right way.
We're certainly trying.
Definitely trying.
It's not without its challenges. would we love to have an absolutely full tap room? Yeah, but it's just not responsible. So like, we're doing what we can to be compliant with everything that Governor Hogan is saying.
Our location sets apart really well. We were able to extend out our patio on the backside and up the alleyway, so we could actually put in tables, everything spread out at least 6 to 8 feet apart, and be able to include more people, but still maintain a properly social distance, sanitary environment for people to come and enjoy, and not have to worry about anything else at the time being.
On that note, is there a release or anything that people should know about this weekend so they can come out and support you in a safe and socially distant way?
This weekend, no, we don't have any special releases, but next week for sure, we have Talisman goes on tap and cans available next week, which is our Talus Smash Lager, and then also cans of our cranberry and cherry sour drop next week as well.
That's awesome.
If there's one beer that you absolutely got to get, it's this Talisman Lager. You got to get it. You got to get it.
Well, you got to get that, and you also have to get the What Maryland Stout, which 23 collaborated on.
Yes, sir.
Again, I want to thank you guys for your participation in that. I want to thank you for joining me this afternoon. Zach, you did a hell of a job despite the internet issues.
I tried. I had to switch over to my phone, man.
Hey, it's working out well, so I appreciate it very much. Everybody watching, thanks for taking the time this afternoon to tune in with us. Visit 1623brewing.com and check out what they've got going on. Go visit these guys, support them. They're making wonderful beers, and they're dedicated to the brewing scene here in Maryland. I don't know if you could tell, but they're both very, very happy to be part of this neighborhood.
Absolutely. I couldn't be prouder to be part of Maryland Brewers.
Yeah. We're twinning too.
Yeah, you guys look great. It's almost like you set that up.
I texted him. I said, "How dare you wear the same hoodie as me?"
And then I also want to ask if you are in the mood to buy some Maryland beer and show your support for the Brewers Association. COVID's done a number on our ability to host these great events that we're used to hosting. We had to cancel the Maryland Craft Beer Festival in Frederick back in May. Baltimore Craft Beer Festival at the beginning of November obviously didn't happen. And we can't wait to get back together with all of you and have these great festivals, but we can't do it until it's safe. And we continue to go back and forth thinking about whether or not we want to do a small scale festival or something. And no matter what we do is not going to be everything for everybody. But what we do need is we need you to show your support for our association. And we have this great group of brewers.
We have some benefits coming up here pretty soon where all proceeds are going to go to BAM. We'll release more details about that later, but that is definitely in the works right now.
Well, we appreciate that. And this is my appeal for you to go out and show your support for the Collab Project. We've got 4 great beers in that project. We have 4 awesome host breweries. 28 breweries overall got involved with this project. 1623 lent their knowledge and expertise to the Stout Project. Those beers are available at beerme.com/store/BAM. You can pick them up at the breweries that hosted them or have them shipped directly to your home. They'll be there in time for Thanksgiving. So please show your support that way. Zach, Matt, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Be safe, and I look forward to having a beer with you soon.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Cheers.
Take care.
Have a great weekend, everybody.